Hey, this is Tiqqle, and in this video we're going over the Enhancement Shaman changes that are coming out in the next build of the Alpha, and we'll be actually looking in the Alpha to try to give you more context of what do they mean, because there were a lot of changes to the talents, though not as many new talents as I would have liked to see. But let's go ahead and jump into it. If you haven't seen the Alpha gameplay, we were doing it on stream almost every other day at this point, especially when new builds come out, so come by the stream, twitch.tv/TiqqleThis, 9 p.m. Eastern. But let's go ahead and jump into it. If you didn't see this note on Wowhead, I'll put the link down below, but basically, they did respond to a bunch of feedback for Enhancement Shaman. And if you didn't know, overall, Enhancement Shaman is super duper bugged on the Alpha. It's almost not worth testing right now. I mean, I guess we know it's bugged because we tested it, but there's so many bugs, typos, just weird stuff, interactions, but they are incrementally working on it. But I will admit that it seems like Enhance hasn't been a huge focus. Ellie has been getting a ton of changes. Resto just seems golden. So maybe enhancements coming up next for the Shaman developers, or the developers focused on Shaman. But let's go ahead and look at it. Basically, they're saying Enhancement Shaman. I like how they address this. We'll just head over the changes, and I'll give you my thoughts. Let's jump into it. Number one, several changes are coming. We removed a minus 35% healing and damage modifier to your spells that benefit Maelstrom Weapon in an effort to make your spells more impactful. But they might have to reintroduce that over time if negative 35% is like too much. Now, what does this mean? This means that when you're spending Maelstrom on your casted spells, they had this like effect in that was minusing the spell damage, basically the damage of the spells or the healing. Now that was down by 35%. I'm actually surprised to see that they modify the healing modifier on here, because Enhancement Shaman on the Alpha is healing for insane numbers, especially because there's a lot of multipliers that are available. And I know a lot of people, while we appreciate being able to heal, we don't like that could be seen as a defensive, because it's not, especially for PvP. And also, when you don't want to be a heal bot in PvP. So, fair enough, but okay, we'll see how it pans out. Now, the minus 35% of damage, that's actually pretty huge, especially now because Ellie Shamans can use Lava Burst. They can still use Elemental Blast, which slaps, and now Lightning Bolt has a lot of multipliers kind of all over the trees. So that is good news. And frankly, that could be a big deal for us. And also for our cleaving ability, given that Chain Lightning now, there's some other changes we'll talk about with that. So that's overall a good thing. 35% is actually a pretty big number, so we'll see how that works. It also makes me think that Blizzard is still focusing on Enhance being a hybrid between actually meleeing and doing spenders as how you actually do damage. It looks to me like there might even be leaning even more into that, because frankly, our mastery of having increased nature, fire, frost damage, that seems to be more and more important in this next expansion. It seems to me, but we'll go over why I think that as well. Number one, they removed Primal Primer. Okay, is no longer an option on a tree. Primal Primer and Primal Lava Actuators were two different selections. They basically are removing it. So what does that mean? In the tree today, over here on the right side, if you went down this tree that seems to be all Lava Lash focused, you could see Primal Primer right here. This was melee attacks with Flame Tongue increase the damage the target takes from your next Lava Lash by 8, stacking 10 times. That 8 is kind of a weird number because that seems pretty small. Now, Primal Lava Actuator still is, it's in Shadowlands as a legendary. People do like it, especially for PvE, but in general, okay, so they're just removing Primal Primer. Primal Primer used to be a Azerite trait back in Battle for Azeroth, so that's why maybe they like this more, and they don't even want to give that option at this point. So that's fine. That's gone. That's fine. I'm actually okay with that. I wasn't a big fan of Primal Primer. Didn't like the way that it was stacking damage on a target either, especially if that target dies. Not very useful. Hailstorm now provides your next Frost Shock a bonus of up to 10 Maelstrom charges spent to better work with overflowing Maelstrom. You might say to yourself, okay, wait, what? What do you mean? So again, we'll just read one more time. Primal now provides your next Frost Shock a bonus for up to 10 Maelstrom charges. Okay, so in the tree, overflowing Maelstrom is this. If you look at this, it's in the middle of the tree. It says your damage and healing spells now consume up to 10 Maelstrom weapon stacks. So what does this mean when we talk about how this works with Hailstorm? Basically, Hailstorm, if you didn't know, each stack of Maelstrom weapon consumed increases the damage of your next Frost Shock by 15% and causes your next Frost Shock to hit one additional target per Maelstrom weapon up to 5. So they are confirming that target cap is still at 5, but in terms of how much damage, instead of just, you know, using a chain lightning, which will increase it by 5 times 15, right, which is 75% for your next Frost Shock, hitting 5 targets. Now you're going to be able to do it 10x. So instead of 5, 10x, so that your next Frost Shock is going to do upwards of 150% damage, cleaving. Huge. That's a huge buff to Hailstorm in my mind. And it also makes me wonder, why the heck do I have Fire Nova? To be honest, I understand why that maybe this is a choice, but maybe make Fire Nova a different node. Because frankly, to me, when I have to choose between the two, it's a little sad. Because, to be honest, Hailstorm seems to be getting a huge buff. Fire Nova, while it is good, the animation is fun, Flame Shock spread is possible, it just doesn't seem to me like it's going to pack the punch. Now again, you might say, oh well, that's frost damage. Yeah, well, that's where Maelstrom comes in. It's going to increase that damage of cleave. I think they might be trying to make people actually want to have a mastery a little bit higher. We also have a talent here for increasing the Fire Frost nature damage by 10%. So that's pretty good as well. So we'll go into some other things. You know, I have another video reviewing the enhanced tree. I'll put it down below if you want that. But this is actually a pretty big one for our cleave ability, and seems like a pretty huge buff, especially if you go for overflowing Maelstrom. Next, Storm Strike replaces Primal Strike, not a big deal. Doomwins now does immediate damage when you activate the ability. We don't know how much this immediate damage is, but I sure do hope it is a lot. Right now, as well as in in the alpha, Doomwins was actually nerfed. While you might know Doomwins as being a legendary in Shadowlands, it actually in Shadowlands gives you 100% Wind Fury damage, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong down below. And it lasts for 12 seconds. They're actually nerfing it, so it's not 100% Wind Fury damage. It's actually like 80%. And you know, the chance to proc is not 100%, it's 80%. And it doesn't last for 12 seconds. It lasts for 8 seconds. 8 seconds is not that long. If every global is about 1.5 seconds, you're getting what? 1, 2, 3, 4 globals off. And that's it. That's a little rough, especially after you press your globals once. They're going to be on cooldown unless they reset. So I don't really understand the shorter duration here, but I do like the idea that pressing the button will do immediate damage. And the reason for that is that when someone uses Doomwins, especially in PvP, people know. They can tell. They'll have a weak aura. They'll have a siren go off. And they'll just be like, okay, well, they have to hit me, or they have to do something, they have to whatever, to get benefit out of that legendary. So they'll just disarm you. They'll stun you, whatever. Yeah, and you have to run up to them, right? In this state, where you actually have it doing immediate damage, and I hope it is a significant amount of damage, because we do need an offensive cooldown like that, it could actually give 80% of the value on the press, and then some damage over time, which would be nice. So I really hope this is a significant amount of damage, because it is a cooldown. I mean, it's Wind Fury. It should pop off, you know, and I do hope as well, if you haven't seen it, it doesn't really have an animation. While I like the fact that it doesn't have an animation to forecast or telegraph to the enemy that I'm pressing it, I would really like it to have a sexy appearance so that I can feel good about pressing that button. When I'm on a Ret Paladin and I pop those wings and I become a freaking angel, I do like that, because they know I'm going to beat their booty, but I also feel good because I feel like a Super Saiyan. So I do hope something similar happens for Enhancement Shamans in terms of either powering up with lightning, powering up with wind, something. Turn me into Alakir. No, that's like Ascendance. Oh, we'll talk about the appearance of Ascendance some other time. But anyway, I'm excited about that one. That actually makes me very happy that they did this. Ice Strike. By the way, Ice Strike was reworked. If you don't know what it is now, it is much different than on Shadowlands, because you probably have never selected it on Shadowlands, probably because you're playing your Windwalker. Now, Ice Strike strikes your strikes your target with Icy Blade, dealing 10k frost damage and snaring them. This is the important part. Ice Strike increases the damage of your next Frost Shock by 100%. Yes, I do believe that interacts with Hailstorm. That's pretty cool. Once again, why the hell would I take Fire Nova? But anyway, Ice Strike seems like a good ability. It actually is going to be useful. It is physical. Actually, it says Frost, but I'm pretty sure it does still proc Doomwins. Correct me if I'm wrong. But that's pretty good. But now, basically, it does highlight Frost Shock. That's fine. Alpha Wolf now works with Chain Lightning rather than Crash Lightning. So you don't have to take Crash Lightning to see the effect. That's a nice, quality of life change. What is Alpha Wolf? It is a new talent out for Enhancement Shaman. While feral spirits are active, Crash Lightning causes your wolves to attack all nearby enemies for the next 8 seconds. Now, I'll be honest with you, this ability doesn't work right now. In general, it doesn't really have an animation, unless they fixed it in the last build, and I didn't test it again. But it hasn't been working, so I do hope it does work as well as the new functionality. Now, they're mentioning Crash Lightning because Crash Lightning is a talent now. So you do have to take it if you were going to take the wolves. Now, frankly, Crash Lightning is so core to Enhancement Shaman, I'm actually surprised still that we have to take a talent. I said in my Enhancement Shaman talent review, I'm not sure why there's this talent for Crash Lightning, there's this talent that buffs Chain Lightning and makes it interact with Crash Lightning, and then there's this one that further does Crash Lightning things like that we already know. These are already things baked into the ability. I still strongly feel Gathering Storms should be baked into Crash Lightning. Chain Lightning, these two talents right here should be baked into Crash Lightning. That's how I feel. Simplify the tree. Don't give me extra ones that don't really feel like, it feels like I'm actually trying to get back to base. Ascendance now has a choice versus Deeply Rooted. You might be like, what is this? Well, in every other spec of Shaman, I won't switch to it now, but every other Shaman spec, you actually have a choice on this node. Just like here, where you have a choice between two talents, this choice is between just basic 3-minute Ascendance or Deeply Rooted Elements, where you press Storm Strike, it would proc Ascendance. Now, that is something that I'm glad they're introducing. Not because it's hugely awesome, just that because it gives us an option, and it's not a far throw between the different specs of Shaman as well. Now, Thorm's Invocation now remembers, this makes it sound so sophisticated, it now remembers it's watching, whether your most recently cast Lightning Bolt or Chain Lightning, and uses that spell when you Wind Strike rather than always using Lightning Bolt. This is Thorm's Invocation. Again, Blizzard's making me call out all these new things, and it is true, there are some new things in these trees, but I still think there needs to be more, because the bottom area needs a little bit of reshuffling and inclusion of a few more options in my mind, especially get rid of this Primordial Wave BS. Anyway, while Ascendance is active, Wind Strike automatically consumes Maelstrom Weapon and discharges a Lightning Bolt. Now it's going to be either a Lightning Bolt or a Chain Lightning. They're probably doing this because if you're in an AoE situation and you wanted to pop this, I guess, or like some type of funneling situation, you could, and it would kind of still make sense without just spamming single targets. Okay. Chain Lightning, rank 2 functionality baked into Crash Lightning. Oh, okay. Wait, Chain Lightning functionality baked into Crash Lightning / Chain Lightning interactions. Rank 2 functionality baked into Crash. Okay, I actually am happy. That sounds to me like they're getting rid of this and they're baking this into Crash Lightning. Okay, I hope that that's what's happening, because that does make sense. New 1 talent is Crashing Storms. Crash Lightning damage is increased by 40%. Chain Lightning strikes 2 additional targets. We do like this because a lot of people have been calling out for a long time that Chain Lightning on an Enhancement Shaman only hits 3 targets. Yeah, and all the others, well, not all the other specs, I should say Ellie gets 5 targets. And so that is good to hear that we're going to be getting those additional targets as well. So that sounds pretty good. Crashing Storms, I don't know where that will go, but we'll have to see. Gathering Storms has been consolidated down to a 1 talent. So that's Gathering Storms, like I was just saying. Okay, now it's 1 talent point. I mean, it still seems like you're grabbing at straws there, Blizzy. Come on. Hotheads has been converted into a 2 talent with the same total values. Okay. I don't like that. But I'm not sure why they're doing it. They basically moved this over here. Again, it seems like a reshuffle. I think they should... why would they do that? That doesn't make sense to me, especially if you're not giving it a buff, because Hot Hand already is questionably fun to use. You like it when you get the procs, but it's like you're getting a proc every 2 minutes. And that's not true. I'm exaggerating, but still. Why break this in half? I would much rather see... I don't know, give this even further, increase the proc rate, increase something about it in the second rank. Don't just make it split in half and then you get back to basic. Because again, Hot Hand today, you put 1 talent point in and you can, of course, you only have 9 talent points, or 7 or whatever, but still. Feral Spirits cooldown has been reduced to 90 seconds. So Feral Spirits is right here, is 1.5 minutes. That is what? How many seconds is that? Wow, 1.5 minutes at 60 and 120. Now it's down to 90, so they reduced it by 30 seconds. That is, all right. All right, cool. Elemental Spirits no longer reduces the cooldown of Feral Spirits. Elemental Spirits no longer reduces the cooldown, huh? So that's right here. So if you take this, it was reducing the cooldown and buffing your doggos and the abilities that your dogs give you. Okay, that's kind of nice. Consolidation there. You get more value by just taking doggos. Several towns have been shifted around due to the above changes. Ooh, we'll have to see the new breakdown and the new shuffle. That's pretty cool. Now, overall, I'm happy to see pretty much all these changes, except I will say one thing. Once again, I don't like Primordial Wave in the tree. Doesn't make sense in my mind for Enhance. I like some of the haste things. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I get it. But why have it be off of Primordial Wave? Like, why don't you just... Why isn't it off just something different? I don't know. Personally, I know it's like I have a grudge against this. I just don't like the Necrolord appearance. I don't like the Necrolord, you know, in general. Why not make it a new looking ability? Probably the art department can't get to it. But I also think that in terms of paths down to the bottom, there's not that many options for Enhancement Shaman. There is a lot of options. Obviously, it's very dense in the middle of the tree. But down at the bottom, you know, I just don't know. I just don't know. I don't know when I would really want to go into this primal wave tree. The Ascendance tree, it just seems like very single targety. Of course, we're going to get a little bit more cleave. And then the bottom middle... I don't know. Maybe it's just not supposed to be like an last row's awesome. Like, I don't see Splintered Elements as something awesome. Thorum's Invocation, I frankly don't even see this as awesome because, to be honest with you, you're getting Ascendance every 3 minutes. And this doesn't make me actually feel like you're buffing Ascendance. You're actually just making my life easier with Ascendance. So yeah, and then Alpha Wolf I haven't tested yet, but I don't know. I think we need something else that's very cool down here. I personally think that Enhancement Shaman really needs something that reduces cooldown. I think that's something that is really fun on Ellie. It actually makes Ellie extremely satisfying. I think on Resto there's also something else that reduces cooldowns. I think that is tied to like no, there is no legendary that reduces cooldowns today. Well, yeah, I think that Enhancement Shaman needs something that reduces cooldown, whether it's reducing cooldown on Ascendance or it's reducing something. I mean, the dog reducing cooldown, yeah, I mean, I guess that is there, but I just don't even think about it. I wish it would, instead of being your Feral Spirits reduced by 2%, I wish it would be nature abilities reduced by 2%. Or actually, that's not a good idea. I don't know. What do you think, chat? What do you think? Put it down below in the comments what you think. But I do think that, you know, make them all similar where they have some reduction of cooldowns. You know, you gotta fix this. This is something that is not working right now. Improved Stormbringer. LE Blast is also bugged. A lot of things are bugged, but we'll have to see where those new talents come in. But I really would like to see a few new flavorful things or flavorful additions onto the Enhancement Shaman. Right now, again, I still feel, even with those tweaks, which are all pretty awesome, that Enhanced does feel heavily like it did in times past. Now, I'll be honest, that minus 35% overall to your spenders, getting a plus 35% buff, maybe we will now feel like a serious, like, hybrid melee caster, and our casted abilities will really feel satisfying. But we'll see. If that's the case, you know, I almost feel like we need an option to be more Storm Strike focused too, which is kind of this area. But if you look at it, like, our Storm Strike things, our wind things are like here. Like, that's it. That's how we buff our wind. Like, this is it. You know, I almost would rather some options off of the sides of those things. But we'll have to see how it goes. But I wanted to give you a quick update on the Enhancement Shaman Dream. We'll be doing a review of this week when the build comes out on the alpha. But with that being said, we'll catch you on the next one. And get ready to go, guys. Dragonflight is coming out very soon. Just kidding. It'll be at the end of the year. Let's freaking go. See you later.